What is going on YouTube? This is Superiority Without a Complex. Today, in this video, I'm going to be addressing the fact that it is now 2 weeks since the release of the Tundra DLC, and what might be perhaps the future going forward for the Pokemon franchise. Now, I don't mean for 2021 and the 25th anniversary, because I do personally anticipate, that is a grain of salt because I am a Gen 4 fanboy, that we are going to get Gen 4 remakes next year. Unless Game Freak decide, well, actually, this Galar cash cow, maybe we get a bit more out of it. We go, ultra honed sword, ultra rusted shield, or some malarkey like that. But I doubt it personally. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. This video is going to be about Pokemon Generation 9, and where I think it is going to be based upon. And as you will have seen from the title and thumbnail, I believe it is going to be based upon India. And now I'm going to lay out a compelling case as to why I believe that is. Okay, but before I get onto the actual clues in Sword and Shield, it would be remiss of me not to explain why these clues actually matter, and the precedent of Game Freak leaving clues in previous games for their next upcoming projects. Now, probably one of the most prominent of all of these past clues would be the Anastar City NPC talking about a moon dial, and also the fact that there was a sun dial in this city, which later turned out to be a reference to Pokemon Sun and Moon in the 7th generation. Also, even just the strange souvenir in that game, and the NPC who gives you that talking about some amazing piece of technology in other region, which probably turned out to be the Aether Foundation in Alola. But it doesn't stop there. I mean, even in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, we had the UK map in the Fuchsia Safari. So there is a strong precedent of Game Freak leaving these clues in their past games, and I suddenly believe they've done it again. So, for this first piece of evidence towards the theory of Gen 9 being based upon India, I actually have something that I wasn't initially considering for this video, but actually appeared within the Tundra after I'd even started planning for it, and it is in the Max Lair, the Tundra, what appears to be a sack in the background with an Indian flag on it. Now, admittedly, there is another sash of orange on top, but it just looks too convenient to me that this very much looks like an Indian flag. So before we even get onto the real weighty evidence, there's already here a little clue that reminds me of the UK flag in the Fuchsia Safari Zone in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. For the second clue, I'd like to address the fact that I do feel as though I've been seeing a fair bit of concept art based upon the idea of a Greek region for Generation 9, which would be really cool, but I just don't think it's going to come to fruition. Not yet, at least. Now let's get on to why. So, I've got for you here a graphic showing the trend, as I believe it to be, of Pokemon regions since, well, Gen 5, the first region not to be based upon part of Japan. So you've got a non-European region in Unova based on the US, you've got a European region in Kalos based on France, then you've got Alola based on Hawaii, again part of the US, non-European region, and then again another European based region, this time in the UK, the Galar region, Gen 8. So that would lead me to believe then that perhaps the next region is going to be another non-European region. And then perhaps maybe Generation 10 will be another European region, and that could be the Greek region that a lot of people seem to be talking about. Okay, but the clues don't stop there, and they keep getting more and more compelling. This next one will really blow your mind. Wow! How convincing it is, and it is about Copperajah. Copperajah's Dex entry strongly suggests that it derives from another region, which we would logically assume to be the Generation 9 Pokemon region. Now, if we were to look at Copperajah's design, if you just look at the distinctive features such as the almost cuboid shaped body and the ears with an almost triangular shape, it really bears an uncanny resemblance to the Indian elephant, more so than other species of elephant, which I will now display on screen for comparison. And it is not only that marks it out as potentially a very, very strong clue towards an Indian region, it is the fact that it is a painted elephant. Now, even just looking at its name as well, Copperajah appears to be a strong reference to the largest state by landmass in India, Rajasthan, which incidentally, now this seems just too good to be coincidental here, Jaipur in Rajasthan every March hosts a painted elephant festival. If we look at Copperajah's design, it definitely appears to be based upon those painted elephants. Not only that, Rajasthan does still have, even though it is declining, an elephant population, about 84 as of 2017 I believe. So this is an incredibly convincing clue. It is not only tied to India, but to a very specific state within India.
Oh my god! Wow!
Right then, so for the next clue, we need to talk about curry, specifically the curry decks in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So you might be asking at this point, well, what relevance does this have to Indian Gen 9 region, given that, well, it might not conclusively point to India. There's other countries that have their own curries, such as the Katsu curry in Japan, and you have Thai curries as well. Well, let me explain why this specifically is a strong clue for India in particular. So let's look to the history of the word curry. Now, I promise this won't be a full-on history lesson, I'll keep it as brief as I can, because it is meant to be an entertaining video, but let's look at the brief history. So in around 1500, the word, or the first word sounding like it, was curry, as we'll display the spelling of on the screen right now, was coined by Portuguese sailors in Goa, India, who asked the natives for a word to describe the dish that they were eating. And that dish really was nothing more than just a sauce-based dish. That's all that the concept really ever was. And British colonial influences later led to the specific word curry being created for this concept, which really, as I say, it came from a bit of a confusion, in that it was a word used to describe all Indian sauce-based dishes, even though actually the Indians themselves don't use the word curry, they just use various different dish names. But anyway, so the point is here really, whether it came from a confusion or not, this is a word whose history is symbolic of the close ties in the past between India and Britain, particularly in the colonial era. So this is why curry and the curry decks in Pokemon Sword and Shield, to me, is not just some vague, arbitrary clue towards any part of Asia. It is specifically pointing to the close relationship between India and the UK, and I believe the close relationship between Galar and the future Generation 9 Pokemon Indian region. Time to move on to a final clue, and this time it's about Urshifu, which I can promise you guys is sure to bear a lot of significance. No one find that funny, I'll let myself out then. Enough of that nonsense, on with the serious stuff. So let's have a look at Urshifu's Single Strike style Dex page, which makes explicit reference to it inhabiting the mountains of a distant region, which we can assume to be a Generation 9 Pokemon region. And Kubfu also repeats this in its own Dex entry, referring to being from another region. So if we were to perhaps analyse then the context of what kind of species Urshifu is, to try and make sense of what that Dex reference actually means, Urshifu appears to be based upon the Asiatic black bear, or the Ursus tibetanus, which are characterised specifically by their tendency to remain bipedal for long periods of time, and their partial white belly, which, if you look to Urshifu, certainly seems to be what it was inspired by. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If we look at the Asiatic black bear's habitats, and I will now show on screen a map depicting those habitats, it has a whole range of habitats across Asia, not just in India, but crucially it does reside in the northern part of India, particularly the part covered by the Himalayan mountains. Now, the Himalayan mountains, you might be thinking, well, covered a great many different countries, and this may not be a specific clue pointing towards an Indian Generation 9 Pokemon region. Well, allow me to address that. Yes, it is true that 17 different nations are covered by the Himalayan mountains, at least in part. India has the largest landmass of any of those countries in the world over the Himalayan mountains, at which point it suddenly seems a compelling, convincing case to me that Urshifu, or this Asiatic black bear, is very much supposed to have, according to its dex entry, resided in the Indian part of the Himalayan mountains. So that is all for the clues in today's video, and let us get then a summary of clues that I believe to form a compelling case for Pokemon Generation 9 being based upon India. Well, the first of which was the Indian flag that appears to be present in the background of the Max lair, and second of which was the trend that I identified of Pokemon regions rotating between a non-European region and a European region since Generation 5, which would indicate a Generation 9 non-European Pokemon region. We have Copperajah, its name being a reference to Rajasthan state in India, the fact that it is a painted elephant, which is a massive nod to the Rajasthan yearly Painted Elephant Festival. Also the fact that it bears an uncanny resemblance to the Asian elephant as opposed to any other species of elephant. We also have the Curry Dex, which appears to be a reference to strong ties between Britain and India during the colonial period, and perhaps close ties between Galar and a future Indian region. And finally we had Urshifu, Asiatic black bear, which I believe, according to its dex entry, may well reside in the Indian part of the Himalayan mountains. So that really is all of the evidence. If you guys have any other pieces of evidence for this theory, please feel free to share those theories down below and discuss. And that is going to be all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. I have been Superiority Without a Complex, and I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I thoroughly enjoyed making it. If you did, why not subscribe so that you don't miss any of my videos in future? I would really appreciate it if you stuck around. In any case, I hope you're all having an amazing day, and peace out.